for Winter Storm Orlena. Yeah, finally remembered the name. But that's just by the Weather Channel. That's not like official. But as you can see, we have this winter storm really starting to unfold across the Midwest, and it's going to start unfolding across many of these regions as we get into later today and into tomorrow and through a lot of this week. And yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of winter storm warnings across the Mid-Atlantic all the way up to parts of northern New Jersey, and then of course we have them. And winter weather is starting to occur here across Indianapolis, Chicago. Indianapolis, even if you're not in that winter storm warning, I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with that area, but I do know that y'all are, I think you're seeing snow currently, so you're starting to see a lot of those impacts anyway. And then you can see that goes up over here to lots of southeast Wisconsin too. Now, parts of central Iowa and east central Iowa are in it too. And then once we get into these winter weather advisories in the purple, that is where we are not going to have as bad impacts, not as impactful impacts. Most likely. And then as you can see in these winter storm watches, these will soon turn into winter storm warnings as we get closer. If they are needed, we will go to winter storm warnings. If they aren't needed, you go to a winter weather advisory, but I can pretty much guarantee these will be winter storm warnings. So yeah, as you can see, we also do have these winter weather advisories from Asheville, North Carolina, all the way up to parts of southern, all the way into Delaware. I'm pretty sure it's Delaware, in the Delaware. But you can see here we are in this winter weather advisories. And then right here, this is pretty interesting. We do have a little bit of a stormy side, and there is actually a tornado warning in parts of northeast Oklahoma. So you do have to remember that we do have some problems there. Also, you can see our next system is coming off the coast, off the west coast. And that could be a very interesting one too. But we're going to go focus on this one for now. So let's go ahead and look at what's going to happen as we get into... we need to do this first. Okay. We'll look at totals in a second, but we got to go to this first. Okay, so as you can see right here, we do have it starting to unfold across much of the Midwest. We're around here, I would say. I do think this is underperforming for some parts of the country. Parts of Indianapolis, you are changing over to snow quicker than they did think. It's quicker than this model thought. This is what this model is saying, but it's way quicker than that. So you could overperform a bit in Indianapolis. You still, I think, are expected to change over to rain or a mix. So just remember that. You may not see snow the whole time, but Chicago, you're going to probably be snow the whole time. We will have maybe a little mix at the beginning. And as you can see, we'll also have this mix in parts of Iowa possibly, and then change over to snow. So that's why a big bulk of central Iowa, we're actually under winter weather advisory, because you're going to change over later, and that'll cut down on your totals. You may get some snow, but it's going to cut down a lot of your totals because you'll be in this mix longer while everyone else is going to change over to snow. So yeah, that's what we're looking at there. Also, pretty stormy and rainy side of the storm too, as we get into parts of southern Illinois and to Missouri. We also have the tornado warning currently as we get into northeast Oklahoma. This is the HRRR model, if anyone was wondering. This is a pretty short range model that works really well. So I did want to show you. But you can see this really heavy snow band is setting up as we get into, you're getting into nighttime after dinner time, and you can see very heavy rates as we go through a lot of northern Illinois into Indiana. I do think our best totals will be somewhere in here, but we're going to have a huge swath of 6 to 12 inches at least for a lot of people in this area. Very huge swath of that. So that's a lot of snow for a lot of you. I think a lot of people here can deal with it more than you can in other parts of the country. But this is still a pretty major winter storm, and you can you don't try not to travel too much because it will be pretty rough. And as you can see right here, we have that huge snow band going all the way down into parts of the Virginias and maybe the Carolinas too. And as you can see, North Carolina, not the Carolinas, but as you can see, as we keep going on, we still have some snow around Wisconsin, not as heavy as down here through Chicago, Indianapolis. We do have some pretty heavy snow coming down. And as we get into Ohio, you're going to be getting some pretty heavy snow too. And then as we get into about 18 hours from now, things do start to wind down a little bit west. In Chicago, you start to see more light snow. But Chicago and around parts of southeast Wisconsin, you're going to see quite a bit of lake enhancement, especially these areas. So what that means is you're going to have more lake effect snow. So I'm pretty sure everyone here, if you live near the lakes, you know how lake effect snow works. So you could be getting some of that, especially towards the Chicago, southeast Wisconsin area. And then we have some pretty good snow here. And then Detroit, you start to get into that light, mostly moderate snow, I'd say. And as we go 20 hours from now, that low keeps moving east. This is still the main low, as you can see. But another, like we've said for days, I think everyone pretty much knows this now, but that we're going to take the coastal low is going to form, and it's going to take over and go up the northeast coast, and it could drop some pretty hefty totals. Now, as you can see, as we get into Sunday morning, you can see we have some good, this is when everyone's waking up. We'll have some good totals. Some good snow falling across a lot of central Ohio possibly, and then some lighter snow and more snow showery action as we get up towards Wisconsin, Michigan, especially like central Michigan, and then parts of Illinois, Indiana. And as you can see, we still do have that lake enhancement, and you can see we have some pretty good snow showers that are coming off, especially near Chicago and southeast Wisconsin, as I was saying. And then that low continues to move to the east, and we do get some wraparound moisture because this upper low is going to be cranking, especially once this isn't going to be our main low once we get later on into the storm, and it's just going to be supplying a lot of showery action. When I say showery, that's rain showers, showers where you can get a mix, shower like sleet showers, freezing rain showers, snow showers, anything like that. It just supplies showers, and what your conditions determines, your atmospheric conditions determines what you get from that. Now you can see that we still do have snow lingering around in Ohio. So that's quite a bit of lake enhancement helping you out too. So that is a good thing. Some of the lakes are starting to ice up, but we still are going to have some good lake enhancement, I do believe. But as you can see right here, as we get into some of your snow totals, this isn't all you may get, especially as we get into near the lakes. I think especially over here as we get into Ohio, we're going to have some lingering snow showers, especially anywhere in here, but especially like Ohio and parts of Chicago. Near Chicago, we could have some more lake enhancement, but this is a pretty good consensus of what you could be getting. This is the forecast by the National Weather Service. We could overperform in a few of these areas, but you can see a huge swath of 6 to 8 inches, and especially as we get towards the Chicago area, maybe 9 inches, getting up to a foot possibly in a lot of these areas. I do think we could have a good spot of 6 to 12 inches as we get into these areas. Now, as you can see, other than that, across parts of eastern, most of Minnesota is pretty much out of this, but parts of southeastern Minnesota, maybe a quick 2 to 4 inches, and as we get into central Iowa, maybe a quick 2 to 4, 2 to 5 inches possibly, and then over here is where we could get 3 to 5 inches in parts of Iowa. But I'd say our best snow totals right now look like they will be in here especially, but we could have a lot of lingering snow across a lot of central Ohio, which could bump up your totals quite a bit too. Now, let's go ahead and look at the Mid-Atlantic. I know a lot of people want to look at the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast because that's what's been the huge story for a lot of us. But let's go ahead and look here. So here's what is happening right now. And as you can see, this is a little off. So I looked at the radar, and pretty much what's happening is that we do have this little band in North Carolina happening. But what I've been noticing is it's a little bit more than expected. So now that we're seeing this being large, it's like all the way down here. So now that we're seeing this larger than expected, I think for a lot of central Virginia, getting into DC, we could have maybe some more snow than we thought to begin it. But I still think a good 2 to 5 inches for DC from this band will happen. You can see this model does take a bit longer for that to form, but it's already pretty much formed, and it's bigger than that. So I just wanted to point that out because a lot of this needs to be now casted, which means we're going to be watching what happens as it happens. And as you can see, this is one big reason we do have that hole in the winter weather alerts, especially right here in parts of West Virginia. Usually you get good snows, but right here, we're going to have a little bit of a warm slot in there. So you're going to be cut down on a lot of those totals. But other parts of West Virginia, you will be fine for a lot of the events. And as you can see, that spreads all the way down to North Carolina. And we do start out as snow in a lot of those areas across western NC. And then parts of DC and Northern Virginia, we're starting to get in on that too. And as you can see, as we get into your morning time on Sunday when everyone's starting to wake up, we do have a very good swath of snow across pretty much all of Virginia. And then we have a little bit of a mix down here as we get into parts of North Carolina. This could be freezing rain, sleet, snow, and even rain at the same time. So that could be tricky. I do think freezing rain or sleet are going to be the most likely in here. I'd say if I were you, I'd really hope for sleet more than freezing rain. And as you can see, there will be snow where the blue is. And when you're close to that rain snow line, you can get some very heavy rates. Now, this is as we get around noontime, and you can see it does start to move out, and it could change over to rain for many of you in North Carolina. But we still do have some pretty good snow falling across a lot of northern Virginia, And then once we get into Pennsylvania, it's starting to ramp up there. A lot of the Delmarva is going to start getting in on some action. And then, as you can see, as we keep going, you can see down here, we're starting to see something forming, and that's going to be the coastal low that's going to swing up the coast as we get into early next week. And as you can see, here it is. This low is still the main low, but we're starting to see a lot of action down here, which is going to turn into our coastal low. And yesterday, I said this, it looked like southern Jersey was going to get the most snow, something like this. Like there was a huge bullseye on you. Now that has lifted to the north and west. So now some of our heaviest totals could be in here. Could that lift to the north and west and some of our highest totals could be here? Sure. I don't know because we're so close. I don't think we're going to see any more big changes. It could go back towards the coast. So we just got to watch. Or that big swath could go north. We're just going to have to watch. Could go south. South is a possibility. But as you can see right here, this is when DC could mix in. And so that second wave could be a little bit more rough. That first wave today is really what could be good for us in DC. And as you can see, as we keep going, we have this coastal low starting to wind up the coast. New York City, you're in a good swath of snow. Pretty much all of Pennsylvania. Getting into Cleveland, we do have some good snow too. And then as we keep going on throughout it, the coastal low still isn't as strong as it's going to get. So some of our heaviest rates are actually going to be later into Monday, which I'll show you in a little bit. But you can see right here, we do have some good snows falling, especially across parts of Long Island. Before you could change over, you're going to be getting some good snow. Parts of southern Jersey, you're starting to mix over to some rain. And then as you can see, as we keep going on, 45 hours from now, this is going to be on your Monday morning. And you can see we have a very heavy swath of snow over here. And this keeps it a little bit more east than some of the other models. Some of the models, like the European model, are keeping it over here. So we're just going to have to watch where that heaviest swath of snow is. You got to watch where that banding is. Because you can have swaths where you get 2 inches of snow an hour, and that could sit over you for 3 or 4 hours, which would bump up your total significantly. So you can't just go off of what these models say for snow totals, because you really don't know until you get into it. But this right here looks really impressive. So this is not in a hurry. This storm is not in a hurry, as many of you know. And as you can see, this has a bunch of the northeast, mid-Atlantic coast, especially New York City, getting in on quite a bit of snow. Now, some models are keeping this more inland, as I said, which could cut down the totals on the southern, especially South Jersey, as you can see. And this is 2 days from now. This is Monday around 1 p.m. This is what it's showing. Now, not everything is showing this. I will show you what I'm talking about. But if we were to go ahead and look at some of the mid-Atlantic snow totals, now this is where it could be possible. Let's go out 48 hours. I will warn you, north of this line, this is not all we're getting. So if you live north of this, this is not all you're getting. You're going to get more than that. But if we go south of this line, this is basically all you're going to get. And as you can see, we have a pretty good swath of 5 to 8 inches in here across a lot of the higher elevations of eastern West Virginia and parts of West Virginia, like western Virginia. And then DC, you're getting on some good snow too. Maybe a good 3 to 5 inches is definitely possible for you there. I think it's going to be a little bit of a cutoff area. But it's definitely possible we could get more than this. And also, we could have some more wraparound moisture as we keep going on. But I think you're really going to start shutting down later on. You can see this has a lot of the Delmarva, especially Delaware and parts of southern Maryland, really getting cut down on those totals. And you can see a lot of the very South Jersey shore could be cut off of the snow totals too. And you can see down here, there's not a ton of snow. That's good. A lot of this could be sleet too in a lot of those areas. But we'll just have to see what happens there. Okay, let's go on into the northeast. So here's the NAM model. We've been looking at the HRRR, but now we have to go to the NAM model. So as you can see, here we are. This is what we were looking at. So this is about the same. This has that heavy snow towards this area. We have very heavy totals over here. Very heavy snowfall rates too. Boston, this has you getting some snow. Some models are trying to keep you, every single model is keeping you really close. This model specifically does have you on the snow side. I think most of them do. So Boston, you're looking fine for now. New York City, you're looking really good for now. And a lot of eastern Pennsylvania, you're looking good. And a lot of northern Jersey, you're looking pretty good. So as you can see, this is going to keep cranking up the coast. This is once we get into Monday night. And then as we get into mid-Monday night, and then this is once we get to when you're starting to wake up. So you can see it starts to pick up a pace as we get into Monday night. But before that happens, we're going to be dropping some really good snow on a bunch of the northeast. Not really interior northeast, a lot of the coastal areas. But as you can see, Nantucket and towards Massachusetts, you could be really messed up over there because you're going to be too close to that low. As you can see, here we are when you wake up on your Tuesday morning. The main heavy swath of snow has now moved into Maine, a lot of New Hampshire and Vermont, and it's starting to calm down in parts of New Jersey, New York City, and Boston. Some snow showers around. Still could see some accumulation from this. And then it finally starts to pull out of most of the Northeast as we get into your Tuesday evening, into your nighttime, but it's still going to linger around, especially for a lot of you towards the Boston area, Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Just some snow showers coming in is definitely possible. So let's look at these snow totals. I will warn you that this might not be all you get, especially as you get more into the interior Northeast, but this is a pretty good prediction. Now, I will tell you, just because this says certain things does not mean other models are saying this, okay? I'll show you another perspective. So this has the heaviest swath of snow over New York City. Shows you getting like 6 to 12 inches. And a bunch of DC, 3 to 5 inches. That's a little bit different from the NAM model. From the HRRR. And it has a really good swath of snow around here. Some very heavy totals. But I do think some of our heaviest totals will be in here, personally. I don't actually, Long Island, I think you could get cut out of the biggest totals possibly. But I do think some of our biggest totals will be in here. And I think Boston could get some really good totals too. But as you can see, it has that bullseye around the New York City area in a foot or maybe even more. Now, I will show you the European model. I'm not sure if it's being as realistic as some of the models. I can't show you, I'm only showing you 10 to 1, so these totals could definitely, maybe cut these totals down by a few inches, by the way. But you can see this one, let's actually, wait, sorry. We need to go back. Okay, there we go. This model, this one's pretty bullish for a lot of you. Now you can see this model specifically has a lot of central and eastern PA getting into northern Jersey, getting 1 to 2 feet easy. So we're just going to watch. This has you getting more banding. I will warn you that this is longer range, which doesn't do as good as short range, obviously. But if it's showing these totals, and this is a pretty trustworthy model, we got to look at it. So I'm just warning you, somewhere in the Northeast, around this area, we can have some really good totals, and we could get upwards of 2 to 2 feet. So especially once you get into those heaviest snowfall rates, and then it's still a pretty good swath of 5 to 9, 10 inches for a lot of those areas. And then Boston, it has you getting in on another bullseye too, and maybe a foot of snow. Alright guys, I will have another update for you tomorrow. I hope you did get a lot of information from this video. I know it's a bit of a long one, but we have a lot to cover from one side of the country to the other. We have winter weather alerts all the way from Minneapolis all the way over to Boston, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe and leave a like down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.